Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga. We are working on sun salutations, and this is the last week of June 2024. We are progressing to doing our sun salutations down on the mat today. But if you need a chair or wall, be sure to take those options for yourself. I'll be showing you some options with our half series vinyasa from a little bit of a level 1 approach up to maybe level 2, level 3. So take the ones that work best for your body. Also had a special request on putting in some neck release, mid and upper back as well. So I'll weave that into our sun salutations this morning. So I have a mat down on, or a blanket on the floor. That's just for padding for my knees. You might need that as well. Or you can take your mat, maybe roll it in half and kneel on that. I also have a block and a strap. You might need those as well. And we're going to begin in child's pose. So come on down to your mat, and we can take our knees any distance apart for child's pose. And then also in terms of sitting your hips back to your heels, that's all dependent on the range of motion of your knees. So I used to be able to sit all the way back to the heels, but that knee replacement and arthritis in my knees doesn't allow for that. So I'm just going to come into a nice comfortable knee bend. Reach the arms out long into extended child's pose. And then maybe your head will find the mat, maybe it doesn't, and that's okay either way. And if this bothers your shoulders to reach way out in front of you, then pull them in a little bit towards your head and bend your elbows. You can even set your elbows right down on the floor. And then we are just going to warm up through the wrists, through the shoulders, through the hips, and through the knees by coming in and out of our child's pose with the breath. So exhale completely here in child's pose. And then as you inhale, just bring yourself up to all fours. So shoulders and wrists are in alignment. Hips and knees are in alignment. Exhale back to your child's pose. So each time we come forward and inhale, we feel our wrists are going to flex. Our shoulders move in and out of flexion and extension. Our hips move in and out of flexion and partial extension. And our knees also in and out of flexion and partial extension. So it's just a great little warm up for several joints. And you can kind of just search your body for any little aches and pains that you might have right now, determining whether this is going to be okay for you. And if your wrists are really struggling, then your elbows stay down on the mat and you'll just come forward onto your elbows and back. And that just takes the wrists out of the situation. And then we'll do that one more time, coming forward to hands and knees, all fours. And back to your child's pose. Now, if we come forward beyond hands and knees and keep shifting our body forward, 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 now we're in kneeling plank. I'm going to drop my hips down so I have a straight, level body. And then push back to your child's pose. Inhale forward, either to hands and knees or kneeling plank. And then back to child's pose. So we're going to add our neck into this a little bit with rotation. So as you come forward to kneeling plank, look over your right shoulder. And then exhale, bring your head back to neutral. And the other side, kneeling plank, look over left shoulder. And back to center. Let's do one more of those on each side. Just gentle rotation of the neck. See what you can see behind your shoulder. And one more. And back to your child's pose. So coming from child's pose to kneeling plank is the first part of level 1 half series vinyasa. So let's move into the next section. We'll inhale forward, kneeling plank, Keep your elbows in close to your body and exhale, lower all the way down to your tummy. We're going to stay there for a little bit. This is our cobra pose. So with cobra, we're going to lift the chest up a little off the floor and then bring it down. And I'd like your legs nice and straight, pressing the top of your feet into the mat. And try not to lift your head up when you come up. So just imagine that your neck doesn't move and lift with your upper back. There's a huge tendency to lift up and then pull the head up and try to look forward. Not really great for your neck. You want to keep that in neutral alignment. And then we'll lift up one more time, strengthening the back. This is our spinal extension. Come down. Now we've got to press ourselves back up. So really tuck your elbows in close to you. Take a nice big deep breath. Inhale. Exhale, push back up to that kneeling plank and back to child's pose. So we'll try to connect that all together. Inhaling forward, kneeling plank. Exhaling to come all the way down to the belly. Inhaling to lift up into your baby cobra. Exhaling to lower your chest. Inhale to push yourself up. And exhaling back to child's pose. And one more time. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, pull those elbows in towards your waist as you lower down. A lot of tricep here and shoulder. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, lower. Big inhale to push up. Exhale to come back to your child's pose and rest. Now, as we move through sun salutation, if you do not want to do the push-up, go down to the belly, all of that, I'm going to give you an option here. So we'll inhale, glide forward to kneeling plank. Exhale, come partway down with your elbows, just a little bit of a bend. Inhale, drop the hips, lift the heart here. Exhale, push back to your child's pose. So this is a lot easier on wrists and shoulders. Gives us a kneeling upward facing dog. So let's try that again. Inhale forward to kneeling plank. Exhale, bend your elbows a little bit. Inhale, drop your hips, lift your heart. This is your spinal extension. Exhale, push back to child's pose. You know what? I really like that one. Let's do it one more time. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, bend your elbows a little bit. That gives you the tricep strengthening. Inhale, drop your hips, lift your heart, keep your abdominals engaged. Exhale and push back to child's pose. Okay, let's rest our arms here by bringing the arms beside your legs so your palms are facing up. And then I want you to flex your wrists so you're pushing your fingers up to the ceiling and down to the mat. So this is flexing our wrists the opposite direction that we do when we're on our hands. And let's do about 3 more of those. Whatever range of motion you have in your wrists this direction. And then relax. Okay, it can be challenging to get ourselves up off the floor. So I'm going to give you a great example, but you might say, well, I kind of have to do it the way I'm going to do it. So what we're going to do is come up into down dog, tuck the toes. You can walk your feet as many steps as you need to take to get your feet up toward your hands to the top of your mat and stay in a little forward fold. You might be able to take 1 step to get up there, 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter. Just make your way back to the top of the mat. And then we'll take a nice inhale, circle sweep the arms out and up to rise up to a stand. Press the palms together at your heart. So it's going to be the same way to get back down on the floor. We'll inhale, reach up. Exhale, dive down to your forward bend. If you're using the chair, your hands are going to go on the chair. Then we can take as many steps to walk our feet back behind us. Drop our knees down and come to child's pose. And let's do that one more time so you can see how you need to modify coming to your feet. So we'll come up, tuck the toes, lift the hips up, walk, walk, walk. Forward bend. Rise. Hands to heart. One more time. Inhale. Forward fold. You can bend your knees a lot here so you can put your hands on the ground. Walk, walk, walk behind you. Down dog. Drop your knees. Child's pose. Now we're going to attack our half series vinyasa. Inhale forward to kneeling plank. Either bend your elbows all the way or a small amount. You can choose your little baby cobra or just drop your hips into that up dog. Then press back to your down dog. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips up, walk, walk, walk forward. Inhale will come up. Exhale, palms to the heart. I hope you're finding ways that you can do this and suit your body. Let's do it one more time. We'll inhale, sweep up. Exhale, dive down. Bend your knees enough to get your hands to the floor. Walk, walk, walk back. Drop your knees. Child's pose. Inhale forward, kneeling plank. Exhale, bend your elbows a little bit or all the way down. Inhale to your baby cobra or up dog. Press back up and back to child's pose. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, walk, walk, walk forward. Forward bend. Inhale, reverse swan dive, come up. Press palms to the heart. Okay, now we're going to take that little half series piece and change it to make it a little bit more advanced, but you can keep the child's pose and the kneeling plank, the baby cobra. Let's inhale, reach. Exhale, swan dive down. Now maybe instead of walk, 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 you can take a big step back into a lunge and then the other foot and come into downward dog. Your option is that child's pose. So if you are either in down dog or child's pose, you'll inhale forward, coming to kneeling plank or full plank. Now it's really difficult to lower down here up on the toes, so you can always set your knees down here if you need. And then we'll do our chaturanga, bending your elbows a little or come all the way down. We can drop the hips, extend the spine, or do your baby cobra. And then push yourself back to down dog or child's pose. Let's just do one more from down dog or child's pose. Come to plank or kneeling plank. Bend the elbows a little or come all the way down. Baby cobra or up dog. Push back to down dog or child's pose. Then we're going to walk, 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 or take a big step forward. Coming up to the top of the mat, forward bend. Reverse swan dive, coming up. Press palms, thumbs at heart. This is a basic sun salutation A. We'll do that one more time, taking your options on the half series vinyasa. Inhale, reach. Exhale, swan dive into your forward bend. Now another thing we can do is, instead of walk, 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 or take a big lunge back, is we can jump back. I heard you giggling. Right, Lisa. Okay, so this is an option. Jump back to your plank or down dog. And then we'll flow through your half series vinyasa. Kneeling plank or high plank. Bend your elbows a little or a lot. Chaturanga. Coming into cobra or up dog. Pressing back to down dog or child's pose. And then walk, 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 or we can even jump the feet forward. Downward, or see our forward fold here. Then reverse swan dive to come up. Exhale, palms to the heart. So that half series vinyasa is difficult to do a lot of times during class. I'm feeling some wrists, feeling some shoulders. So this is a lot about just educating you on the options you can take for this. So as we go to Sun Salutation B, I'm going to take out the half series vinyasa. We know what it is. You can put it in if you want, but we're going to go ahead and flow through the rest of a Sun Salutation B. Okay, so Sun Salutation B from Mountain Pose starts with a chair pose. So let's find our beautiful chair pose. Inhale, sit back down into chair, and let's hold a few breaths here. Some things that's important about chair, that knees are tracking. Try not to let your knees knock in or bow out. You can have your feet hips distance apart or even close together. So that's important with chair. Another thing important with chair, sometimes we want to be here folding forward. So we don't want to have our chair in a folded position. We want to lift the heart. And then the arms can be anywhere that you would like. Kind of like palms at heart center. That helps me to relax my shoulders. So let's do a flow through our chair pose a couple times with the breath. So inhale, come up. Exhale into chair. Nice full breath. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Strong through the thighs and the glutes. 1 more. And chair pose. From chair pose, we can rise back to inhale again. Then we'll swan dive into your forward fold. And then we'll walk the feet back to come into our down dog. This is where we would put our half series vinyasa, and there's 3 of them in our Sun Salutation B. So I'm going to give you a second if you want to flow through plank, chaturanga, cobra or up dog, and back to down dog. Or you can hold your down dog or just hold a child's pose here. So a lot of options. Once you've done that first half series vinyasa, now we're going to bring our right foot forward to come into warrior 1. And that can be difficult. We might have to take a little step, and then you can grab your ankle, bring your foot forward, set your back heel down on the ground, and come up to your warrior 1. Shoulders are back. And you can have any width between the front foot and the back foot for your stance and any arm position that suits your body. So from our warrior 1, a lot of adaptations can be made for other poses, but for traditional Sun Salutation B, we are going to go right back into another half series vinyasa by reaching our hands to the mat, stepping back to our down dog or child's pose if you take that level 1 option, and then you can flow through your half series or just hold this pose. This time I'll flow plank, cobra or up dog, and back into down dog or child's pose. Then we've got to get this left foot forward to warrior 1. So another option we can do is we can lift it up and then really swing it forward towards our hands, taking a big step. Then our back foot plants down, and we rise up to our warrior 1 with any position of the arms. Sometimes if you lift that leg and step it through, you still need to kind of grab it with your hand and help it to come forward, because you don't want it to be behind your leg so that your warrior 1 looks like this. You want to get that foot to come up so it's underneath your knee. And then this follows by 1 more half series vinyasa. So we reach to the mat. We push back to our down dog or child's pose. You can hold or flow through your half series by shifting to plank, chaturanga, cobra or up dog, and back to your down dog. So once we finish that last half series vinyasa, we just need to walk, or step or jump the feet toward the hands into our forward bend. Then we rise up, press the palms at the heart, and that is a complete round of Sun Salutation B. So I know the really hard part of this is to get the foot forward from your down dog to your lunge. So I want to work on a couple of ways we can do that for ourselves. So let's inhale, reach. Chair pose. Exhale, check your chair for good alignment. Shoulder blades are down. You can do some movement of your head here. I'm going to spend some time on neck towards the end of class, but always be maybe making some adjustments so that you're not carrying any tension in your neck. Inhale. Exhale, swan dive into that forward bend. And then we need to make our way into down dog. So we can walk, 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 or jump the feet back. And here's where our first half series vinyasa occurs. So I'm going to take a child's pose. You can as well. And then you can take your half series vinyasa of any style or just hold your child's pose. Now we can actually come into warrior one from our child's pose. Isn't that a nice option? It sure is. So let's come up to your knees, and now we'll take this right foot forward and then tuck your back toe under, set your foot on the mat. Voila. Maybe that works better for you than doing it from your down dog. You can do it from your knees. Okay, flowing through the second half series vinyasa. Hands come down to the mat. You can even drop your knee back down to the floor and come back here to child's pose. Oh, I really like that. Or you're stepping back to your down dog, potentially flowing through your next half series vinyasa. So I'm going to hold here and give you some time if you're flowing through each of these half series vinyasas. I'm going to bring it back down to child's pose. And then we've got to get that left foot forward. So I'll do it again here from the knees. So coming up, and I like to bring my hands over toward the side so I can almost swing my left foot around to get it in front of me here. Then the back foot tucks under. I put my foot down flat on the floor and come up, warrior one. And you just make it whatever works good for your body. These are just some suggestions, but you're going to be able to work yourself through how to get into these poses and get out of them. Transitions are all up to you. Okay, then our third half series vinyasa, I'm going to put my back knee back down on the floor and put my hands in the middle and step my left knee back, coming into child's pose or downward dog, holding or flowing through your half series vinyasa if you choose. And then we need to make our way back to the top of the mat, walking, stepping or jumping, coming into forward bend. And then we'll reverse our swan dive to come all the way up and thumbs to heart center. Okay, I'm going to show you another way to get into our warrior one. There's a few. I've taught yoga for a long time and I've had to kind of figure them out for myself and really watching other people going, oh, look how that person did it. That's a pretty cool way. All right, so let's inhale, sweep up, exhale, chair. Inhale, rise. Exhale, forward bend. We've got to walk, 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 maybe jump back to our down dog, to our child's pose. We can hold here or flow through our half series vinyasa. I'm going to come down to child's for a moment, give you a second if you're flowing through. And then we'll come back to down dog. The next way I'll show you how to get your foot into lunge is I'm going to bend my knees like I'm going to jump. And this right leg is going to come up to the top of the mat. And I'm actually going to pick my right hand off the floor to get it there. So it looks like this. So I took it off the floor to create space for it. Then I'm going to plant my foot down and come up. And if that's a no-go for you, that's okay. Just another option to try to add. Okay, so now reaching to the mat, I find it a little easier to put my hands to the middle instead of one on either side. This is ideal, one on either side of the foot, but I can bring them to the inside and then just kind of pick that foot up and come back to my down dog or child's pose. Option to flow through a half series vinyasa, maybe the kneeling style. And back to our child's pose or down dog. So now I'm going to try that on the left foot. So from my down dog, I'm going to bend my knees as if I'm going to spring forward. And I'll be lifting the left hand off the mat while I spring my left foot right into that space. It works really good. Plant the back foot. Come on up. And then one more half series vinyasa. We'll reach down to the mat. I'm going to come to the inside of my feet so I can kind of swing that leg around a little bit. Down dog or child's pose. One more option for your half series vinyasa or not. And then back to child's pose, down dog. We'll walk, step, or jump our feet back into forward bend. And a reverse swan dive to come up. Press palms to the heart center. Arms by your side, shoulder blades are back, and breathe. So interestingly enough, and I've never done this, and I've taught yoga for a long time, on the summer solstice and on the winter solstice, yogis do 108 sun salutations. Whoa, it takes about 2 hours. We're not going to do that on the solstice because that's a lot. It's a lot on the wrists and hands. So now I'm going to take our warrior ones and modify them to add some nice movement for the neck, the shoulders, and we're going to leave out the half series vinyasa. I'm going to move my little blanket away so I don't have to avoid it all the time. So instead of coming down to the floor each time, a wonderful way is just to step back into our warrior one. So let's inhale, reach up. Exhale to chair pose, just like we started our sun salutation B. And then inhale, rise. Exhale, forward fold. Now just come back up from your forward fold, put your hands at your heart, and we'll just bend our knees a little bit and step the right foot back, and we're coming into a warrior one standing. Then inhale, come into chest expansion. Exhale, put your left hand on your hip and reach your right arm up to the ceiling if that feels okay for your shoulder, and do a big side bend. And then just let your head tip to the left a little bit. I'm still looking forward, but I'm just relaxing and tipping the head to the side to release tension in the neck. And then we'll inhale back up. Place the hands back to the heart, step the back foot forward, soften the knees a little bit, and then step the left foot back. So no half series vinyasa in between these two, just stepping into our lunge. Put the right hand on the hip, lift the left arm up, take a nice big side bend, and then tip your head so your right ear kind of drops towards your right shoulder just a little bit. Keep your abs engaged. This is a nice balance challenge as well. And then we'll come back up. Place the hands at heart center. Step back in to your mountain pose. And then relax the shoulders and arms down by your side. Next, we'll add a twist. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, chair pose, any arm position. Inhale, back up. Exhale, swan dive into your forward bend. Rise back up, place palms at your heart. We'll step the right foot back, warrior one. And then we'll bring our arms to that goalpost position. We'll start to turn the spine to the left. This really is going to open up your hip flexor, again, challenging our balance. And then I want you to put your right fingertips on your left shoulder in front of your body and put your left hand either on your hip or wrap it behind your back. And then just keep rotating to the left as much as you can. Take a breath there. Inhale. And exhale back to the center. Press palms at your heart. Step the back foot forward. Pause. Inhale. Exhale, left foot steps back. The toes turned out a little bit on that back leg, and you have whatever stance feels good for you. Come to your goalpost arms, pull the shoulder blades back, rotate to the right, any amount. Left hand comes across to your right shoulder. Right hand either comes to your hip or wraps behind your back. And I'm almost guiding my shoulder over with this hand. It's funny because I'm really not pushing, but having my fingers there is helping me to get more rotation. All right, one more breath here. Inhale. Exhale, come back to center. We'll press our palms together. Step the back foot forward. Release into mountain pose. Shoulders down and back. Now we oftentimes add balance poses to our sun salutation. So from warrior 1, we'll find our warrior 3. If you need your chair or a wall, make sure you have something close by. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, chair pose, your choice of arms. Another one I like is hands behind the back. This gives you a nice chest expansion. Inhale, we'll rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Knees can be bent any amount. Just lengthen those hamstrings. Come back up. Press palms at your heart. Step your right foot back. Warrior 1. And we'll reach the arms forward this time for our warrior 3. Drop your shoulder blades down your back. And then you might need to take a couple little toe taps forward as you shift your weight into your left foot and try to pick your back foot any amount off the floor, holding your balance pose. Arms can come into your heart center as well, or again, find my little tiki man's going to be my balancing tool here. And let's hold a couple breaths in your balance pose. Find your focal point or your drishti. Keep your abdominals engaged. One more breath. And then typically we reach that back foot back down into warrior 1. If we were doing the complete sun salutation, here's where we would flow through a half series vinyasa. But for now, we'll just step the back foot forward. Take a breath. And then step your left foot back. Warrior 1. Nice long spine. Arms reach forward as we prepare to balance on this front leg. So we keep a little bit of a bend in the knee as we shift the body weight. You can even lift the back heel off the floor and keep the ball of the foot down, or even the big toe for your balance here. Or just check and see if you can lift your foot off the floor. Use a prop as needed. Try to level off your pelvis. 2 or 3 more breaths. And really active back leg. Tighten up your thigh muscle and your glute. Then step that foot back behind you with control to warrior 1. Here's where you'd flow through a half series vinyasa if we were doing the complete sequence. But we'll place palms at heart. Step the back foot forward into our forward bend. Arms by your side. Nice strong mountain pose. All right, so we've done a side bend, we've done a twist. Now we're going to do a humble warrior to stretch our upper back, neck, and shoulders. Inhale, reach. Exhale, chair pose. Any arms. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, back into your forward fold. You can do a little half lift here and touch your shins. Inhale back up, palms at your heart. Step your right foot back into your warrior one. And then we'll inhale to open our arms into goalpost. And as we exhale, cross your right arm over your left, and you can give yourself a big hug by grabbing your shoulders and separate your shoulder blades and drop your chin to your chest. Next option is to find eagle arms. So we can wrap the hands together. You have a nice little root wrapped around each other. And again, drop your chin to your chest. In our humble warrior, we start to round the upper back forward, and we're just rounding as we come down any amount in that upper back stretch. Now I'm feeling it in my lower back. You can stay upright as well if that feels better for you, and we'll take 2 breaths here. Then use the strength of your back body to pull back up. And you're really pushing down into your left foot. We'll unravel the arms and then take a counter stretch, reaching the hands either to your hips or behind you to interlace your hands and open up the chest and the fronts of the shoulders. You can also hold a yoga strap behind your body here. Take 2 more breaths. And then here's where we would flow through the half series. Do you guys want to do one? You do. Okay, let's do it. So we'll reach down to the mat. If you don't want to, you can just step back to your mountain pose. We'll push back to child's pose or down dog. Inhale to glide forward to your plank or kneeling plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Bend your arms a little or a lot. Inhale, cobra or up dog or kneeling up dog. Then exhale back to child's pose or down dog. And then let's walk, feet to hands. Reverse swan dive, come on up. Palms at your heart center. Okay, let's do the left side, warrior one. So we'll step the left foot back, turn the toes out a little bit behind you, square your hips. Inhale into chest expansion, goalpost arms. Exhale, cross your left arm on top of your right this time, and you can give yourself a hug here and drop the chin. That's option 1. And you can do your humble warrior with this option. It's great. Or wrap the arms into eagle. Drop the chin, start to round the upper back. You're separating your shoulder blades. Coming down any amount. The lower I go, I start to feel it in the low back. So really let your body be your guide here as to how far you take this. And I'm letting gravity kind of pull my arms down to the floor as I separate the shoulder blades and find release through the upper back. And another breath. Inhale. Then push down into that right foot. Use the strength of the back body to pull yourself back up. Unravel the arms. Reach hands to hips or hands behind your back. And if you do that, I want you to switch the interlace of your hands. So we're doing it the other way from what we normally do. And hold and breathe. Now we can also do humble warrior in this position as well. It's done in chest expansion where you bow forward. A nice stretch in addition to the arms wrapped in front. Okay, here's where we would flow through a half series vinyasa or not. So you can either hold your warrior one and just stay there, or you can flow with me. Come down to the mat or to a chair if you're using the chair. Push back to your down dog. Flow through your half series vinyasa, the one that you've chosen that works the best for your body, or you can mix and match them. Pushing back to your child's pose or down dog. And then we'll walk, feet to hands. Forward bend. Reverse swan dive coming up. Press the palms at the heart center. All right, beautiful job, everybody. I'm going to bring my blanket back to the mat so I have some padding for my knees, because now we're going to come to some kneeling lunge work, oftentimes thrown into our Sun Salutation series. We'll inhale to reach up, exhale chair pose, inhale reach, exhale lengthen into your forward fold, and we'll just step the right foot back and place your right knee down onto the mat. So we have kind of a 90-90 position here with the knees, but what I want to do is either get this knee further behind or this foot further forward so that I have a longer stance. So I'm going to step my left foot forward more, and then we can reach both hands in the middle and get a nice hip opener stretch. You can use your yoga block here to place your hands on, or your chair. So we have two different stretches going on here. In the leg that's in the back, we're opening up the hip flexor. In the leg that's in front, you're feeling it in the upper part of the hamstring attachment and into the glute. In yin yoga, this is called the dragon. So with our dragon, we're going to add a twist and some movement for the neck. So your right hand can stay on the block or on the floor, and we'll rotate the body toward the front knee. Your left hand can come to your hip. It can wrap behind your back, or you can reach it up to the ceiling. And we're just going to move our head from the right to left. So look over your right shoulder as far as you can. Then look up to the ceiling over the left. We'll do that 2 more times. Look right and look left. 1 more, right and left. Then come back to center with the head and see if you can lower down a little deeper into this stretch. So I like to use my elbows on my block, but that really gives me a deep stretch. I think I can hold it here briefly. And then from here, we'll move into a kneeling hamstring stretch. So you can keep your legs in the same position they are, but start to straighten out the front leg, which is going to shift your body weight back. Now, if your hamstrings are really tight, you might not be able to touch the floor here. So that's where your block comes in handy. And if you have 2 blocks, twice as good, because you can put one under the right hand, one under the left, and you feel really stable here in this stretch. Or you can reach your fingertips out to a chair. I see a lot of variations with this stretch. One I see that I'm not so fond of because of my knees is folks will sit all the way back. Ooh, my hip doesn't like that either. But that's an option if you have that flexibility in your knees. Another option I see is folks like to slide the foot forward and come down into a little bit of a split. It's called Hanumanasana. So I want you to stay here for about another 3 to 5 breaths, choosing the stretch that feels best for you. Somewhere where you can relax, not be straining. And 1 more breath. Now, if you say, my knee just doesn't like being down on the ground on this back leg, I have a little hint for you. You can tuck the back toe under, and you almost don't even need to pick your knee up off the floor, but you can push down a little bit into your foot, and it takes the pressure off of your knee, or you can lift it up. So those are some options with that back knee. Okay, let's swing this left leg back around to come to both knees. And we'll step the other foot forward. You can use your hand to help. This works really great just to grab it, pick it up, slide it forward. And then we need to have the left knee back behind us quite a bit. The right foot ahead so that we can stretch out the front upper attachment of the hamstring and glute. and the back leg hip flexor. So we can bring both hands to the middle, use the block, use the floor, use a chair. Props are meant to make your yoga practice more comfortable. And, some people have that mentality of, oh, if I use a prop, it means that I'm not good at yoga, or I am kind of cheating in the pose. That's not it at all. The props, from way back in the days of the first part of Hatha yoga, the yogis used props, and everyone used them. They have a purpose. They bring the floor up to us, which is wonderful. Okay, let's add our twist. So left hand stays to the mat or to the block. We'll open up into the twist. The arm can reach, but I know that doesn't feel pleasant for some shoulders. So your hand can come to your hip or even wrap behind your back. And we're going to turn our head down to the left as far as you can, and then rotate up to the right. And I want you to look as far as you can with your head, but also with your eyeballs. You actually can look farther with your eyes than you can just with your head. So if I get my head here and I have my eyeballs neutral, I'm looking kind of across the room, but I can look up with my eyeballs and see the ceiling. So I want you to turn your eyes as much as you can. Let's go one more time to the left. One more time to the right. Then we'll bring our head back to neutral, and we'll hold this dragon stretch for a few more breaths. I'm not going to be able to come down any lower on this side for the right hip. It's going to be interesting once I recover from this hip replacement as to what my mobility will feel like after that. I was talking to a friend that had hers done, and she said, your hip can go all over afterwards. You'll be amazed at what your mobility will be like. I'll be able to do hip openers again. That'll be pretty cool. I'll be able to do a balanced butterfly pose. Okay, so let's shift back into our hamstring stretch and get that knee replacement in a good spot there. Okay, so maybe you can touch the floor here. Perhaps you're up on a block. Maybe you have your chair out in front of you. You can do it without being supported, but this is a lot of balance, and then we're not concentrating on our flexibility. We're just trying to concentrate on staying up. So try to hold on to something if you can. Again, 2 blocks is really nice. You can slide out into a little bit of a split. And let's hold about 3 to 5 breaths here, relaxing the back of that right leg. Nice hamstring stretch. And it's really important that we try to keep a neutral spine. I can go farther over. I can even touch my nose to my knee, but if I'm doing that, I'm rounded in my back, and that's not the best way to do a hamstring stretch. We want to initiate from the chest with a neutral spine and fold forward any amount from there. Okay, let's come back to both knees. I'm going to put both hands in the middle. And let's come back to where we began our class today, extended child's pose. And I just want you to check in and say, wow, how did I do? Did I learn a lot about my body and what suits me best? Were there any aha moments? Did I find some variations that they weren't okay for me, and that's all right? And let's take 3 more breaths here in our child's pose. So we're going to do a passive neck stretch. And you can do it a couple ways. If you like child's pose, you can place your hands underneath your forehead and just turn your head as far as you can to the right and just rest it there. If you can, come down onto your tummy. I'm going to bring my blanket up toward the top of my mat to give myself a little bit of cushioning. We can come all the way down, lay on the belly, bring the hands beside the body, and turn your head all the way to the right and just relax here. So this is passive so that we can hold in a comfortable spot and not be tensing up our muscles. So that's what's most important about this passive neck stretch. If neither one of those methods is okay for you, then just try to sit up and turn your head to the right as relaxed as you can and hold that rotation. Well, hello. Excuse me. I'm doing cat yoga. He's fine. You guys have 15 seconds here on the right side. I am really feeling the left side of the back of my neck really stretching. In a good way, though. Okay, so changing sides, I don't want you to turn immediately. I want you to try to come back to the center for a few seconds. So lift your head up, and then you can make a pillow for your forehead and just bring it to neutral. Whether you're in child's pose or on your belly, either one. And I was talking about in the days of old with the yogis and hatha yoga, they didn't rush to do the other side. They took time to just come back to equilibrium or homeostasis and observe what they felt in their body after they did the pose one direction. I think in Western yoga, we get all wrapped up into needing to go to the other side really fast. Okay, so whenever you're ready, if you're in child's pose, you're going to turn your head to the left there, or same thing if you're on your belly. So your right cheek is on the mat, and this feels so different than the other side. On the other side, I started to feel the stretch maybe about 30 seconds into it, and I'm feeling it right away on this side. And maybe it was because I did the other side first and I released it that direction. I don't know. It's a mystery. Maybe it's just the way I slept or the way I always sleep. Maybe this is just less range of motion here. So try to soften, release any tension and gripping. If you need to come back to equilibrium, homeostasis sooner, you can do that. Or take 2 small bites, turning to right, turning to left, turning to right, turning to left. And 15 seconds. This is a reverse Shavasana. Okay, we want to bring our head to the center again and linger there. So lift it up and slowly turn it. Then hands underneath the forehead so your nose isn't stuffed into the mat. And then we'll close our practice seated. You can just roll to your side and press yourself up, or any other way that feels good for you to come to seated. You can sit in easy seat, which is a simple cross-leg pose, or any position with your legs. This feels best for me today. And just check in. Just observe. I'm still feeling that left side of my neck from being in that stretch, so it's taking a longer time to dissipate. So let's do a half neck circle. Tip right ear, right shoulder. Roll down, chin, chest. Left ear, left